Welcome to Comfort Habit number 2. As following with what I just said in the last video, and this being the final video I'm making for tonight, this is a separate video from everything else. This video is just blatant me being raw about Apache Chief. Alright? When I left off on the last video, I talked about how no one in the boardroom at Hanna Barbera. We're not blaming DC Comics for this. We're strictly blaming Hanna Barbera because Apache Chief was their property for the cartoon. He was not a DC comic character until like more recent books, I think. But Apache Chief, Apache motherfucking Chief. I need to brush my hair back for this. So, way back in the day, because there was no representation on TV for little native kids, some back there in the back at Hanna Barbera pretty much was like, okay, well, we need some Native Americans. We got El Diablo, and we got Apache Chief. They had Apache Chief first, by the way. No one back then, considered maybe not calling him Apache Chief, you know, like maybe Sunrunner or something. Yeah, no, they called this man Apache Chief. I wish I could have the technology to do this, and Apache Chief would pop up in my hand, but I don't have that kind of technology. But it kind of bewilders me to fucking death that no one in the boardroom, and I have to stand up because I've been sitting for a while and my hip's starting to hurt. My good hip, actually. It bewilders me to no end that no one, and I mean absolutely no one, in the boardroom thought that shit through. They could have called him, Lord of the Arrows. They could have called him Tracker. They could have called him anything but Apache Chief. We're going to give him this medicine bag, and we're going to call him Apache Chief. They got the clothes right, but that's probably about the only thing they got right. I mean, they honestly did not consult an Apache for this shit. And if they did, it's new to me. I'm still doing research, but the fact that they called him Apache Chief, where if you go look at a Marvel Native American, they've given them really good names. Warpath, Thunderbird. No, still can't remember Danielle Moonstar's name. Can't remember Forge's fucking code name. I think Forge was his code name and his real name was something else. But anyway, they could not give this guy a worse name than Apache Chief. And I'm sorry, because Apache Chief sounds racist as fuck. And you may not agree with me. I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this video. And that's fine. But to name him Apache Chief, I'm just trying to figure out in my head, in this boardroom, where they're coming up with these names for these DC characters so that they can have the cartoon stay on the air. Because Hanna Barbera was getting some flack from some people or whatever. And, DC really didn't have the control over anything outside of the rights to the names. But, Marvel had some cartoons that didn't really fare well. And the only cartoon that Marvel had that could really compete with the Super Friends was Spider-Man. And Spider-Man and his amazing friends. And the Marvel Power Block only came on Saturdays, where Super Friends came on every fucking day. And then it started coming on Saturdays. And you had to have cable to see the Super Friends every day. So if you had the Cartoon Network, you got to see the Super Friends every fucking day. About 3:30, 4 o'clock. If you were out of school, you were watching Super Friends if you had cable. If you didn't have cable, you only watched whatever the hell came on Fox or WDCA Channel 20 here in Charlottesville. So we didn't have a UHF and VHF like we do in Smithville. And in Smithville, you could watch the UHF and the VHF. And the UHF was the three main channels, and the VHF was the two under channels or whatever. And so, when I was going between the two towns, believe me, I could find cartoons anywhere. Anyway, that being said, Apache Chief. Nut chunk. I'm gonna grow big as a house. Yeah. I get it. I understand the superpowers. I understand that we needed representation. What I don't understand is, why in the fuck did they not give Apache Chief a Native American war name, or name him like a tomahawk, or name him something, Shadow Spear or something. They just named him Apache Chief. Like, you couldn't like name him Son of Geronimo or something, because Geronimo was an Apache, so they wouldn't be too far off. Or Son of Cochise. It wouldn't have been too far off. It probably would have had to deal with some legalities on that. But to just name him Apache Chief, it's like two insults. Alright, let me explain. First off, he's an Apache. We get that. You can't give him a name. So it's kind of like insulting. It's like he could be 20,000 Apaches. He's that one Apache. And he's a chief. Now this is where it gets offensive. When I was 16, 17, 18, I was turning 17, I think. Yeah, 16, 17, 18, 19. Well, until I turned 19, I worked at Kepler's. The movie Renegades came out. Lou Diamond Phillips played a Native American who didn't like being called Chief. And at that time, everybody in their mama was calling everybody Chief. And for 3 years of my life, my name was not James Williams Jr., it was Chief. Because the guy just did not see me as a black man. He just saw me as a Native American. And every time I turned around, hey Chief, how's it going, Chief? What's up, Chief? So when you think about my story that I just gave you, and then you have a hero, when your childhood hero is named Apache fucking Chief, you don't seem to think that's racist. Well, I kind of fucking racist. It's like you guys could have gave him any name in the world but Apache Chief. And I want to know, because I know all these guys are probably dead now, but how did that meeting go in the boardroom at Hanna Barbara? How did the higher up sit here and say, well, we need a Native American character? Got it. The Apaches were some badass motherfuckers. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were. Let's name him Apache Chief. Why are we naming him Apache Chief? What do you got, John? What, River? Nah, man, that sucks. What do you got? Shadow Wolf? Nah, man, that's we can't have no shadows and wolves on TV. What do you got, Charlie? What do you got? Bluebird? Nah, man, nah. We already got the Blue Falcon. We can't do that. Alright, Dog Warrior? Nah, man, the dogmen might get offended if we write that out. Those Native Americans might be a little bit tight. They might go on the warpath down here. I got it. What do you got, Bob? What do you got? We got Apache Chief. And I can see a fuck ton of people in this room jumping up and down for joy. Who's gonna draw him? I got him. I already drew him last week. Alright, Jolly. Jolly comes in. Apache Chief's looking decadent because they didn't have Google or the internet back then, so he probably went through an encyclopedia and found an Apache or something that remotely resembled an Apache and said, this is what Apache Chief is gonna wear. And this is his medicine bag. They probably didn't do enough research on medicine bags in the first place, and they probably did research on Apaches. So yeah, Apache Chief. So to all my Native brethren and everyone else here on YouTube or whatever, let me apologize for this entire video. I am sorry if I have offended anybody, but I am highly mad, and I will be mad until the day I die unless somebody from Hanna Barbera goes, well, James, we were under a lot of pressure at the time, and we really didn't have any good ideas, and Apache Chief was all we had, and if that's what happened, I can accept that, because it's an honest answer, and maybe that's what happened, but, at the same time, you would think that somebody from DC would have said, hey, man, calling this guy Apache Chief. What if he's Cherokee? Well, what we're gonna call him? Can't call him Cherokee Warrior, because that song, Cherokee People. Something had to go somewhere. Somebody had to have some gears grinding or some idea of something, and we got Apache fucking Chief. I'm James Williams Jr. Thanks for watching. I hope I haven't offended you too much, and if I have, I do apologize, because it's kind of bad. And the main reason is because, in my youth, I got tired of being called Chief. I swear to fucking God, I got tired of being called Chief. Especially for 3 years by this white dude. He just would not call me by my name. He would only call me Chief. So yeah, I find the name Apache Chief to be racist. Thank you for watching. Scum Forever number 2. BC and you.